triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for freedom. Hello, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. Yes, I blew you away. If you didn't know it was going to be me, I'm in for Dominic Izzo, standing in for him. Just another great opportunity to do this. Always appreciate when Dominic is willing to share his space and allow people to step in. And it's really cool because he doesn't have to do it. He has a great time Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you know what, folks? It's a great time to speak. You know what? Today's been really this emotional day. I've been very busy at work, a million and one tasks to do. And, you know, I'm trying to catch up on a lot of the different things that are on the news, that are on the videos. And honestly, it was very impressive to me as I watched a lot of the things that moved me today. Today, I want to call this, this broadcast for the next 2 hours, I want to call this All the President's Men When Valor Speaks. My website's Battle4Freedom.com, Battle4Freedom.com. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go there. And I also want you to understand that I'm not the only show that's on Mojo 50 Radio, so you get 3 hours of me today. But I am one of many hosts that you can check out if you go to mojo50.com/schedule. Not only /schedule, but this Sunday is the last chance you get a chance to follow the new 4 shows that are airing between 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Great shows. One of them, you know, you have Raquel Lee. She's part of Room 13 that comes on 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me just give you the list. I'm going to show you. For those of you who are watching on Facebook and you're not aware of this, you have Ain't You a Peach at 12 p.m. You have Room 13 at 1 p.m. You have Tramping Through History at 2 p.m. and Damn It Beat with Beaver at 3 p.m. These are the options that are available to you. The question is whether or not you're going to decide to go there and share it out with as many people that you possibly know. Again, you could have your favorites of which ones you like, but I'm letting you know it's a lot of great talent that you can listen to and you can enjoy. And listen, it could be late in the day for you, 7 p.m. Watson, I'm getting ready to wind down. I'm too nervous, Watson, about wanting to watch the debates tonight. A lot of people, yes, Curtis, you got it right, an extra dose of APR coffee that's going to kick in as you get ready for the debate. So I'm going there, APR coffee. That's it. I've hit the snooze button a dozen times, and now I have to finally get going. But I'm not going to do this day right if I don't start it off with a cup of American Pride Roasters coffee, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. But I'm not going to lie to you. They have a wide variety of blends, but I'm leaning towards the one that's named after me, Watson's White Chocolate Caramel. You know what? It sounds as good as those words that just rolled off of my mouth. Listen, get it today. AmericanPrideRoasters.com. Tell them that Watson from Battle for Freedom sent you, and you want Watson's White Chocolate Caramel Blend to start your day off. Join American Pride Roasters Coffee and Mojo 50 Radio, and most important, Battle for Freedom, as we celebrate the best coffee in the nation, American Pride Roasters. Yes, get yourself your American Pride Roasters coffee. And, you know, because of the fact that I'm just loving the spirit of a lot of everyone's energy in there, I'm just taking some personal quests. And because I have this built in, Watson! There you go. That goes right there for Raquel Lee. So that she can understand the amazing network of Mojo 50 Radio that you get a chance to listen to and you can participate in as you sit here. So the day's busy. Like I said, I'm doing work, I'm connecting, I'm in meetings left and right, making sure that my girls are getting their work done as they're doing their e-school and everything like that. And then I start watching some of the things that are on here in between the breaks, in between the meetings. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was really moved. I was shocked this whole time. Let me start off with Lindsey Graham and them and the GOP, the Senate Judiciary this morning as they were kind of talking about something.
And to all the people out there wondering about Judge Barrett, I can tell you this, the law of Amy will not be applied to case in controversy. It will be the law as written in the Constitution or by statute or whatever regulatory body she's going to review. She will take her job on without agenda. But important to me is it's okay to be a complete person and be on the Supreme Court. It's okay to be pro-life. She embraces the pro-life cause in her personal life, but she understands that judging is not a cause, it is a process. She embraces her faith like millions of other Americans. And there's some things being said about her and her family that are disgusting. And I just want to compliment her family for giving her the backing she needed to take on this job. And I want to.
So, you know, a lot of you right now, a lot of you Democrats, you hate him. Oh, he made a promise and he wasn't going to do something. Oh, you're right. You are absolutely right. He made a promise that he wasn't going to do anything. Now, listen, if you want to interact, you can do what many of the people who've chosen to do this. I see Raquel, I see Matt Holloway with the HoloNet. He comes in on Saturdays. You can check him out. Listen, you won't know about this if you don't go to mojo50.com/schedule. I see Lep, who's in there. He's part of the crew that speaks on Ain't You a Peach at 12 a.m. this Sunday morning. I see Curtis. I see, Linda. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this. Now, everybody's going to sit here and say, oh, well, you know, Lindsey Graham, he can't be trusted because of the fact that, you know, he's not consistent and he buckled and he decided to do what the president of the United States has said to do, right? Well, I want to go into, you're right. You're absolutely right. He is nothing but, when you look at the cover of the page, he's nothing but all the president's men. There was a movie made after this, and honestly, today, these four men is who I want to kind of cover throughout this broadcast as I talk about, you know, the angle and the role that they played in, I think, leading with strength in the midst of the chaos. They led with strength, they led with beauty, and I'm telling you folks, it is nothing but the best in what they're doing. So I want to get into what Senator Mike Lee says in the process here, because of the fact that what he does is very moving. And mind you, too, Izzo is alive. There was a sighting of Izzo yesterday. It was about 24 hours, a little bit more than 24 hours ago. There was a sighting of him, and he was chasing a black man down the street. Izzo is alive. He is alive. So I want to get back into this about what Mike Lee. I didn't know much about Mike Lee. I almost had a chance to meet him back in 2016 during the Republican primaries, because he was here in Plainfield, Indiana, with Senator Cruz wasn't here, but he and Heidi Cruz were here, which I had a chance to talk to him. It would have been very interesting. I think I would have enjoyed that. I like Lee. He's a very principled man, and I like how he lays things out like he's going to do here.
Criticism and blatant racial condescension. Sure, during Ruth Bader Republic,
I'm going to bring this up.
much lucky in the United States. She's a thoughtful and fair-minded lawyer, a loving daughter, wife, and mother.
He's talking about Amy Coney Barrett.
Believer in her faith and in the Constitution. She was arguably the most impressive judicial nominee that I've ever seen in any of these hearings. And I've been watching them intently since I was a kid. Judge Barrett is going to make an absolutely outstanding Supreme Court justice, and the American people will be really lucky to have her on the bench. It is a shame that our colleagues on the other side, having failed to lay a glove on Judge Barrett during the hearings, have chosen to walk out on this process, and in so doing, walk out on the American people. This is sad, but in context, it's not really that surprising. I suppose we should be grateful that a walkout is all the Democrats will do to Judge Barrett today. Not all nominees have been so lucky. This is an important point for those watching these proceedings who might be tempted to believe the pious pearl clutching and performance art of the media and the minority party about this particular nomination. I'd like to take a few moments to set the record straight about the history of this process and why America needs and deserves to have Judge Barrett on the Supreme Court. For the first 200 years of the history of our republic, Supreme Court nominations of both political parties were almost always polite and even boring, relatively nonpartisan, non-political affairs. Judicial nominees were examined for their qualifications and rejected by the Senate only in relatively rare instances. But that era of generally common mutual respect ended in 1987 when a Democratic-controlled Senate shamefully and slanderously defeated the nomination of one of the country's most respected lawyers and constitutional scholars, that is Judge Robert Bork. The cynical attacks against Judge Bork, whose only offense was that he was a conservative, were dirty, and they were downright dishonest. But like the boy who cried wolf, Senate Democrats got away with it, at least the first time.
Yes, they got away with it for the first time. And in the process of doing that, you remember, because you have to understand this. I love how Mike Lee, he does the history on this. I love how he breaks us down to set the stage so you understand everything that's taking place right now, all the posturing that the Democrats are doing right now. It's all available because of the fact of what they created. What they created. Now, mind you, as you sit here and you start listening to this and you start watching, yes, Melissa, yes, the debate is going to be something insane. It's going to be insane. They set the stage for a lot of the anger, a lot of the frustration, a lot of the intensity that you see right now. And again, you have to listen to the history of this. You have to listen to the history. Even Lindsey Graham went into the history talking about what they did to Robert Bork. Then they did it to Clarence Thomas. Then they turned around and they did it to, and there's another guy that they introduced to this, and I completely forgot about this guy that they get into. But you have to understand this. When I say all the president's men, okay, I did not vote for Trump. There was a lot of his braggadocious spirit that drove me up the wall, and sometimes it drives me up the wall now too. But you have to understand that the kid gloves had to come off. The kid gloves had to come off because look at how dirty the Democrats are playing. Now everybody's saying, well, the Republicans should go back to what they used to be. What, wimps? To be gentlemen and gentle ladies and sit there and let the Democrats continue to just run roughshod, and not one member of the Democrat Party, and I'm talking about the Democrat Party as an American citizens, would hold them to task for their irreverent behavior for the office in which they sat. You sit here and you watch the high-tech lynching that took place with Clarence Thomas, and you remained quiet. You sat there and you watched what they did to Bork. You sat there and you watched what they did to the next person that's going to be mentioned, and Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch. And you sit there and you have the nerve to have indignation, that you're mad that you're not getting your way. And over and over and over again, I saw a great meme today. It said, you know what, the Democrats don't get what they want. They said that the fighting is going to continue if Trump wins. And so someone said, so basically speaking, the Democrats actually control the violence. And you're right. The Democrats do control the violence. And I think we should be nervous about this because y'all keep saying it's the President of the United States of America who's creating the violent atmosphere. And actually, it's your people. So this righteous indignation that you have against the president, that you have against Republicans, falsely placed.
4 years later, President George Herbert Walker Bush nominated Judge Clarence Thomas, then serving on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, to replace Justice Thurgood Marshall. Democrats on the Judiciary Committee, Democrats, not Republicans, tried to do to Judge Thomas what they had done to Judge Bork a few years earlier. The public was now wise to the Democrats' game, and that particular attack, while injurious, failed. So they resorted to the next tactic: organizing what Thomas rightly called a high-tech lynching of a black man who dared disagree with the rich white liberals who ran the Democratic Party. When Democrats won back the White House in 1992, when the shoe was put on the other foot, Senate Republicans did not retaliate. Senate Republicans did not respond the way they did.
Did you hear that? So when the shoe was put on the other foot, here it is. The Republicans didn't answer in kind. And get this, listen to the following, pay close attention, and make certain that you turn your listening caps on and your learning caps on. This isn't for the conservatives. This isn't for, the people who already understand the truth. This is for the people who unfortunately did not get the proper education in history, and also not the proper education in discerning history and interpreting history as the facts present themselves and not as how the media distorts that said reality or speaks less of it to keep you ignorant and keep you controllable.
They did not respond in kind. In 1993, the famously liberal Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg was confirmed to the Supreme Court with 96 votes. In 1984, Judge Stephen Breyer was confirmed with 87 votes. They went low, and in response, we went high. Now, did Republicans' good faith behavior influence or improve the Democrats' behavior? No. The record suggests that it only encouraged them. Within a decade, Democrats once again breached norms. They unilaterally escalated their war over the judiciary by filibustering, for the first time in history, a judicial nominee, Miguel Estrada. Mr. Estrada was, and remains to this day, one of the most respected lawyers and constitutional scholars in the country. He was a natural and inspiring choice to serve as a federal appellate judge. But to the left, you see, that was precisely the problem. Mr. Estrada was Latino and brilliant and charismatic and young and widely seen as a future nominee to the U.S. Supreme Court. So the left decided to strangle Mr. Estrada's nomination with false, insincere attacks and unprecedented obstructionism. They filibustered Mr. Estrada's nomination. Not once, not twice, but 7 times. Fan service to hateful leftist groups who were vilifying an honorable man in a revolting tantrum of political cynicism and blatant racial condescension. Sure, during this ordeal, Mr. Estrada's family suffered irreparable tragedy, but at least the New York Times was happy. And the left sent a clear message to Latino Americans about what they can expect if they, too, dare question liberal orthodoxy. Thus, Democrats ushered in yet another new era in their, not the, but in their judicial culture wars, the era of judicial filibusters.
Sad, very sad.
Now remember, at the time of the Miguel Estrada filibuster, Republicans had control of the White House and of the Senate. They could have invoked the nuclear option to break the Democrats' unprecedented norm-breaking obstruction. We didn't. We did not retaliate, not after the Estrada filibuster, not after the Democrats' malignant, mendacious smearing of then-Judge Sam Alito on his way to the Supreme Court. It's not the narrative, but it is the truth. Once again, Democrats went low, cruelly, disgustingly low. And once again, Republicans took the high road. Under President Obama, Republicans accepted the Democrats' practice and required supermajority cloture votes for judicial nominees. After a few years of this, Democrats got tired of having to play by their own rules, so they broke them. In 2013, with a number of Obama policies being challenged on constitutional and other grounds in the courts, Democrats invoked the nuclear option over Senate rules so that they could confirm judges with only 51 votes.
You get that? See, this is something created by the Democrats. So when you get angry, not Republicans, but Democrats out there, whether you're in office or you're even just an American citizen, if you're getting angry about this, you don't get angry at Republicans. Get angry at Democrats that created the situation. See, everybody gets angry because, you know, that whole $750 thing about Donald Trump paying taxes. What y'all don't seem to understand that there's more information to the story that he had actually overpaid in taxes. So all that he had to pay was to make up $750 on top of the millions that he already paid. But again, what Donald Trump is doing is, and even if it was only $750, remember, Donald Trump wasn't in office. Donald Trump was taking advantage, like many Democrats and many Republicans and many libertarians and any person who may not even be of a political persuasion. They take advantage of the laws, allowing them to spend less money in taxes. So if they have to give it away to benefits or charities or whatever, so they don't have to keep paying that much money in taxes, that's the laws that have allowed them to do that. But again, many of you who are complaining that the rich aren't paying enough taxes, many of you aren't even paying taxes at all. Many of you aren't paying taxes at all. You know, it's very sad. It's very crazy. It's really interesting how this stuff unfolds. I appreciate Mike Lee breaking this thing. I'm going to try and give him another 30 seconds before we go to break, because that break is already upon me, and there's so much more I want to cover.
Republicans pleaded with Democratic leader Harry Reid not to do it, and we warned Democrats that they would soon live to regret it. But hubris makes the powerful deaf as well as blind. They rammed through their appellate court judges. We could not stop them. They did it because they could. In response, the American people did what they could. In the next election, and in fact, in every single congressional election since the Democrats went nuclear in 2013, the American people returned a Republican majority to the Senate. That included the election of 2014, which meant that when President Obama appointed Judge Merrick Garland to replace the late Justice Antonin Scalia, the Senate, following precedent established by Democrats decades earlier, rejected that nomination.
Boom. Rejected that nomination. Folks, listen, I'm your host, Watson Preeney from Battle4Freedom on Mojo5 Radio. We're going to continue talking about all the president's men after this break. Talk to you on the flip side. This election will be vital to the health and sustainability of our country. Our role from this day on could steer the election in either direction. Why? The way we treat one another. In John 13:35, Jesus says, "By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." We know that every election cycle brings out the worst in us. If there was ever a point for honesty, it is in how we act during election season. As much as we would want our candidate to win, attacking a person with contrary opinions only makes them determined to reject our point of view all the more. It may come off as ignorant from them, but we cannot claim innocence if we allow arrogance and disrespect to be the means in which we communicate with those who support the other party or other candidates. Our goal was and will never be to convert voters. Our role is to give them the information needed prior to them casting their vote. It is their choice and right of what they do with that information. Understand, more people are aware of the political corruption and hypocrisy than they wish or want to admit. So there's nothing for us to prove. Choose to be people who invoke change rather than people who irritate and strain. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." In other words, give people the room to make their own mistakes. Without seeing that they were wrong, they would be blind to see what is right. Remember, every soldier present and gone have fought for the right of every American citizen to vote their own conscience. To insult and ridicule people for exercising their liberty to vote for their candidate is to also desecrate the efforts, memories, and sacrifices made by our heroes for said liberty. Please, show respect. Our nation depends on it. Welcome back, everyone. This is Watson. Actually, welcome. This is
Watson
from Battle4Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio, standing in for Dominic Izzo, who's normally here Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just excited to do this and continue to speak to you guys. You know what? I talk too much, so being here, Dominic is feeding a craving that I have of always wanting to constantly go into topics and talk about so much as we're in here. Those of you who are preparing for this thing, I don't know how long you've been waiting for this debate. You've been eager. You're probably stocked up on a lot of your drinks. You know what? And you were waiting for this with bated breath. Did you know that if you actually got yourself a cat cooler and you stocked it up with some ice on Sunday and you put all the different drinks, if you wanted to drink hard liquor and you put that in the cooler to keep it chilled and shaken but not stirred, you can actually put this in a cat cooler and keep it for 7 days that it would stay chilled inside there. If you go to catcoolers.com, you can either get 27 quart, 55 quart, 88 quart, and just give them the code Watson and save 10% on that purchase, and you can't go wrong. Actually, you know what? Not Watson. This is during the rants of Izzo. You're going to give them the code Izzo, and you're going to save 10% on that cooler. Okay? So do me a favor, do that. And also earlier when I was talking about Watson's white chocolate chocolate caramel coffee, I also want to tell you that there is Izzo's Rage. When you need that extra boof, that extra power boost to get you going, get some Izzo's Rage and be nice, solid, and strong like he is. I hugged him yesterday, and he is solid. He is strong. I think he probably felt like he was just hugging a big wet donut. Yes, I gotta lose weight. Please forgive me. Let's get back to the awkward moment now. Let's get back to the president's man and what Mike Lee has to say. Now, before I go into the break, I was talking and I was playing the audio of Senator Mike Lee talking about, you know, the role of why we're here right now because of what the Democrats have created. They've created the scenario that exists right now because they were tired of going by the book. And even now, they threaten to pack the courts if Amy Coney Barrett is fulfilled. If Donald Trump, if Donald Trump wins this election, I believe that it's not only going to be 3 seats that the president's going to fill. He's going to fill 3 seats in his first term, and I believe there's going to be at least 2 more seats that he will fill in the second term. I believe Justice Breyer maybe stepping down. And I think they said that. Come on now, Clarence Thomas is getting up there, but I think he still has a few good years in him. But this is going to be very interesting as this goes, and the Democrats threaten that they're going to pack the courts, they're going to stack the courts whenever they get the chance to do this. Well, unfortunately, it's going to be very troubling time as we hear what threats that they are making on here. And thanks, Krista, for being part of the program. I see you, Dawn and Melissa. Thank you for being part of this. Raquel decided she wanted to go to YouTube because this is airing on YouTube right now, as well as on Mojo 50 TV. Cough button. Sorry, I don't have one with me. Maybe I should have a mute button like they're going to use on the president tonight. But I want to get back to this thing. All the president's men. I'm not going to lie to you, folks. These men, as I share the pictures that you see here, I show you that there is, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham has grown a pair and been more vocal. Mike Lee has been great. Even Ted Cruz has been saying something, and even Mike Pence. I don't know if Donald Trump has spent too much time with Mike Pence, but there's a new side of Mike Pence coming out that I'm starting to really enjoy, because even as my governor, I don't believe, or I can't recall him being as animated as he is now. But this is great to see what these guys are doing. So let's get back to this here.
That included the election of 2016, when Donald Trump was elected president. When he selected Judge Neil Gorsuch to replace Justice Antonin Scalia, Democrats once again filibustered and then feigned outrage as Republicans followed Democrats' precedent again and triggered the nuclear option on Supreme Court nominations. Now, let me go on record. I initially had concerns about this move. In conference meetings for some time, I argued to my colleagues that we ought to at least try to find another way, try to see if we could figure out a way to restore the judicial filibuster and simultaneously preserve this important part of the Senate's institutional design and of presidential prerogative. I lost that argument. My position may have been principled, but in the context of the Democrats' relentless and endless pattern and practice of abusing their power, it was untenable. I tried to persuade my colleagues to seek a good faith bipartisan solution. The problem was that while solutions were easy to imagine, the left's good faith was not.
Boom.
The only precedents Democrats had given us to work with were Bork, Thomas, Estrada, and the nuclear option. My colleagues pointed out the obvious. Democrats' embrace of judicial power and of judicial total war was not a slide down a slippery slope. It was a giddy, enthusiastic leap that they still don't regret. Just look at the record since then. In 2018, when Justice Anthony Kennedy retired and President Trump nominated Judge Brett Kavanaugh to replace him, was there any sign, any evidence whatsoever of an intent to lower the temperature? Any indication that Democrats were rethinking their decades of vicious unilateral escalation?
No.
Just as before, of course not. During the Kavanaugh nomination, they stooped to new lows, concocting a patently false accusation of teenage sexual assault against an honest, honorable, and innocent man. Like inquisitors, burning heretics at the stake, torching, sliming, smearing, breaking norms, breaking rules, to slander and strangle the nominations of constitutionalist judges, is simply what the left does.
Is simply what the left does. And see, here's the thing about it, is that as I hear people wanting the Republican Party to get back to the semblance of honor and decorum and the proper way to carry yourselves.
But there was zero request. There was zero expectations for Democrats to change and follow suit. So in other words, the Democrats who are upset with the way the Republicans are now because of the Trump influence, they're basically wanting to hold Republicans to a standard that they don't even want to hold their Democrat of representatives to. That is utter hypocrisy. That is hubris, insanity, and downright coonery. It's downright ignorance. To sit here and assume that you're going to hold people to a standard that you won't even hold your own officials, your own representatives to. You appreciate the gentleman, the stately manner of Republicans, but you have no desire to hold Democrats. Oh, well, we'll get them to that particular point. That's just stupid. That right there, that kind of language, that kind of ignorance signifies why people like you should not be voting in the first place. Your inconsistency in being indignant is an affront on anything right or true in this country. You sit here and you throw out your chest as you're someone educated and someone to be listened to because you have this grand perspective on the reality of politics, truth, and morality in this country. But your hypocrisy demands an audience which basically says, I don't want to listen to you anymore because you're nothing but a hypocrite. Listen. Barack Obama said elections has consequences. And you know what? I want to revisit that statement for a second here. A president of the United States of America said elections has consequences. Understand what he just said there. He basically said, if it doesn't go your way, and if it goes our way, there'll be consequences for your rebellion against me. You see it right now, how Facebook targets conservatives because of the fact that you have a lot of Democrat operatives who are sitting there operating and working behind the scenes of the quote-unquote broken hashtag whatever. There's no such thing as a fact checker. There's no thing called fact checking in social media when it's liberally driven and liberally owned and liberally dominated. It's rather unfortunate, but for some strange reason, there's a large segment of high-minded, high-horse riding Americans who basically go under the banner as liberals, or they may even say that I'm nonpartisan. But in other words, they're liberals. And they have the nerve to sit there and actually believe that they're going to carry on impartial and render a good judgment on situations. They've condemned Donald Trump. They've condemned conservatives. They condemn white America. Even now, many of them are joining churches to sit there and have panels talking about racism in America and how their lives have been threatened and they feel fearful in their lives as being black Americans in a torrentious white racial America. That in 2020, we have Christians who still feel the need to talk about the fact that they feel threatened of being Christians and being black in America. That is utter hypocrisy. It is utter immaturity. And I would dare go far as to say it is a lack of faith and true authenticity in you being a Christian if everything has to be you being fearful of your life because of the color of your skin, and you basically sit here and ignore your creator when any other time before Donald Trump, if God could be for me, who could be against me? If God could be for me, who could be against me? But for somehow, some way, in an era of MAGA, in an era of Donald Trump as president of the United States of America, you've rendered the power of God to defend you and protect you now null and void. Right there, that goes to show that you are only favoring Christianity when it benefits you. God was working when he put Barack Obama as president of the United States of America. We have overcome. We have overcome. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump is president of the United States of America. and the one who gave you the voice and the time to celebrate about a new reach for progressiveness, or even and a maturity and growth in America. And that same God is now gone. He's off the scene. He's incapable of rendering good judgment and good leaders in America. Why? Because you never had faith in the true God of the Bible. You had too much faith in the color of your skin, hence rendering you lack of character in who you presume yourself to be. I'm going there. I will go there because of the fact that there's nothing but a stinking hypocrisy as you sit here talking about racism in America. And it just sickens me that you sit here talking about racism in America at a time like this. Let's go back to this because I'm getting too hot.
This is a feature, not a bug. Hello, Susan. This is how they operate. This is what they do. Liberals, not conservatives, turned the Supreme Court of the United States into a super legislature of sorts. Democrats, not Republicans, escalated Supreme Court confirmations into ideological knife fights and worse, and made political outcomes the defining issue of this process, rather than judicial philosophy and qualifications. What has happened to this problem isn't a bipartisan failure. It is a unipartisan strategy. Every norm broken, every act of escalation, one party, the Democrats, has been the aggressor in every single instance. At every step along the way, our side has used our constitutional authority, and the other side has abused its authority. There is no tit for tat, there's just tat. Democrats killed Judge Bork's nomination for partisan political reasons. They killed Miguel Estrada's nomination for partisan political reasons. They slandered Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, and Justice Kavanaugh for partisan political reasons. They nuked the filibuster, again, for partisan political reasons. And now they're trying to scuttle this meeting, this hearing, this vote for partisan political reasons.
I'm going to go forward to, let's go to Ted Cruz for this.
Which is that the Supreme Court should go through the public square, scour the public square to remove any reference to God Almighty. Not a single Democrat defended the far left's radical view of religious liberty, that the government has the power to punish you for living out your faith. I noticed these lovely photographs in the place where our Democratic colleagues normally would be. You know, one photograph I don't see is a photograph of the Little Sisters of the Poor. The Little Sisters of the Poor, a Catholic convent of nuns who've taken a vow of poverty, who the Obama administration persecuted because they were living according to their religious faith, and who Joe Biden pledges to once again persecute if he is elected. Not a single Democrat in this committee defended that radical view of religious liberty because the American people don't want it. They want a court that will actually protect our religious liberty, not take it away. Not a single Democrat during the hearing last week defended the Democrats' radical view of free speech, which is that the federal government has the authority to regulate political speech, to regulate your free speech, and to silence you if you dare criticize a politician. That is a terrifying increase in government power. There have been 4 votes on the left for that proposition, that the federal government has the power to ban movies, that the federal government has the power to ban books. That was the position of the 4 dissenters and Citizens United, and not a single Democrat would defend that radical proposition because the American people have no interest in a federal government that has the power to regulate free speech. On the Second Amendment, not a single Democrat defended the proposition that 4 dissenters in Heller versus District of Columbia maintained, which is that the Second Amendment protects no individual right to keep and bear arms whatsoever. which means that government can make it a crime, a felony for any American to own a firearm, and there's nothing you can do to challenge it in court. There are 4 votes for that, 1 vote away. Not a one of them defends that radical proposition. And so I would say to all of us in the majority, we should take solace from this. They know the propositions they're advancing are radical, they are extreme, they're not what the American people want. To all of the grassroots activists who are out there fighting right now, less than 2 weeks away from Election Day, fighting to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights, take solace in the fact that our absent Democrats understand last week was not going well for them. They tried to ask a few questions of Judge Barrett, and they realized this ain't good. The American people seeing this smart, calm, talented, principled jurist pledging to defend the Constitution, that is a problem for us, the Democrats. And by day 2 of the questioning, they had gotten out of Dodge. By midday, there were only 2 Democrats even left in the hearing room. Now, of course, 2 Democrats is more than we have here today. So it went from barely being present to being totally absent. There's a reason why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris refused to answer the question whether they intend to pack the court. Because the answer is yes. If they get power, they will move to pack the court, to expand the number of justices, to fill it with partisans, an abuse of power that would do immense damage to the independence of the judiciary. And why won't they answer the question? Because they know it is profoundly unpopular. They know the American people don't want to see the court politicized, its independence destroyed, which is what today's Senate Democrats are pushing.
Exactly. And listen to the nature of what Ted Cruz is talking about
here. The stakes of this election coming up in 2 weeks are enormous.
Big, huge.
The reason the Democrats want to see leftists on the court is so that a majority of judges, unelected lawyers in robes, can mandate policy outcomes that the American people don't want, that they would never vote for, without our colleagues having to take responsibility for it.
Now, and I want to stop there for a second, because this is what's key, because the accusations is what the president's trying to do. The accusation is that we want to put this on the president, saying that you're trying to get rid of Affordable Care Act, you're trying to basically end gay marriage, you're basically trying to take away a person's right to vote, you're going to do voter intimidation, and so much more of what you're going to do to ruin the lives of Americans. Now, if you haven't paid attention, for the last 10 years, 12, 20 years, Democrats have been projecting on Republicans what they would do. And see, and here it is right now. They say, oh, well, we're going to flip the courts. For what purpose? If you sit not to flip the courts, but you're going to pack the courts because you want to have liberal progressives on the court to do what? To make the courts do exactly what you're accusing Republicans of doing. And many of you right now, you're like, yeah, let's fill the courts. But you're supporting the thuggery that you are angry that Republicans are going to do. And here's my problem. I have a concern with this because of the fact that, one, there shouldn't be a left side of the court or a right side of the court. There should be a side of the court that actually reviews the law constitutionally and in its original format, so that we get away from a lot of these liberal interpretations of what the law is that has created so many gaps and so many abuses of power. Abuses of power of people in office, as well as abuses of power by American citizens, to circumvent the law, to circumvent the character, to circumvent the integrity of the Constitution, and even the integrity of a person who calls themselves a human being and is willing not to use the law to their advantage to hurt, harm, or endanger the success of other American citizens. But we see this, we watch this, and it's rather unfortunate because of the fact that the very thing that they accuse Republicans of doing
is the very thing that they do themselves. They should be ashamed of themselves because of the fact that they're going to be busted. Well, no, they're busted right now. The problem is whether or not the rest of you are going to pay attention. Let's get into a little bit more of Ted Cruz before we're about 5 minutes before this first hour is over.
There are times when it seems Republican senators don't necessarily understand that the principles we're fighting for, the overwhelming majority of the American people are with us. But you know who understands that very well? The Senate Democrats who refuse to attend today. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Cruz, for your participation in this hearing process. You bring a lot to the table.
Yep.
For the conservative point of view and actually understand the process as well as anybody I've ever met. And thank you, Senator Lee, for reminding us how we got here. We got here through a tortured tale of abusing people, of trying to get outcomes, changing the rules to accommodate political desires, and it's ended today.
Yes, it has.
I would love to go back to the traditional Senate approach of having to grab some people on the other side of the aisle to confirm a judge, but that was abandoned in 2013 for a purpose, to stack the D.C. Court of Appeals.
Period.
That's where all litigation involving the federal government goes. And Senator Schumer and Senator Reid, to his credit, says, I did it, I'd do it again, and we should change the legislative filibuster. That's where Senator Harry Reid's at. I'm hoping that this election people will listen to what Senator Cruz just said.
And see, and this is where it is, where Schumer said if given the opportunity, he would break the rules again. And many of you are going to actually re-elect him to be in office to break the rules again. So I'm grateful for the president's men who are sticking up and they're speaking forward. They're bringing history. Now, many of you probably tune them out because you don't want to hear the truth, because you can't handle the truth. It's unfortunate. But if you want to drop something on you, many of you have had a chance to enjoy me in my new sombrero. And it's because I got it from this place called Cape Woolamai. This is the name of the place where I went to go get my beautiful hat that you see here. It's the Cape Woolamai Mercantile Company. This is where they offered this really cool, swanky hat, and I really enjoyed it. I want you to go check them out, and I'm hoping to have to interview them soon and learn about some of the other different things that they have on here, because I love this hat. Dominic Izzo says I should get myself a fedora, and so I'll find out if they actually have those as well. But this one, I'm loving it, I'm sporting it, and I'm going to continue to do so until my wife tells me to burn the hat. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm not lying to you. I'm having fun being goofy, and I'm having fun being goofy with the. I'm just having fun with this as I turn around and wear the hat every chance I get, and I make my goofy Zoolander positions and poses and things like that, and it drives her up the wall. Listen, folks, this is the warm up for you as you turn around and get ready for the debate that's going to be happening in 1 hour and hopefully 10 minutes. When we come back in the second hour, what I want to do is, like I said earlier, I want to talk about all the president's men. This is a 2-hour thing I'm doing here because this is 2 hours is what Dominic Izzo is giving me. I want to go into Mike Pence, because Mike Pence spoke today, and I'm not going to lie to you. Mike Pence, this is the most animated I've ever seen him, and he's got me cracking up. I love Mike Pence. I love me some Mike Pence. And this is going to be really cool. Thanks, Renee, on the hat. I'm enjoying it. Honestly, now I need to get the boots with spurs. And one of my buddies, they have horses, so I told them, let's ride. I think of just that whole phrase. I don't know if those of you are fans of the Lord of the Rings, but I remember one of the guys just saying, "Riders of Rohan." And just is like that spirit, that energy to go out and conquer terrain. That's what I'm looking forward to doing. have my hat, my boots, and so much more. But listen, folks, we're going to close out this this first segment, this first hour, and get your popcorn, get everything ready, because there's going to be a serious debate. I'm going to be sharing stuff with you from Mike Pence, and I'm also going to share some stuff with you from the President of the United States of America, because I want you to have your popcorn ready. I'm recording this. Understand, I will be talking about the debate tomorrow morning, so make no mistake. Listen, I'm your host, Watson Purnier from Battle for Freedom. Proud to be a host on Mojo 50 Radio and honored to be speaking in the stead of Dominic Izzo. Let's go to a break. You do your potty breaks right now, and I'll talk to you on the flip side. So we'll be coming back to this shortly. Those of you who are paying attention, there's a commercial break on the radio side. Let's see. Let's do this. We'll be turning this back on, and in 2 minutes, actually in a minute and 25 seconds, we're going to go live. But don't you just love that haircut that the president has? Pretty cool hairstyle. Everybody has unique hair. And I have hair envy. So we are 1 minute out from bringing this back, folks. We are 1 minute out. You know what? And let's do this joke. We have time to do this.
You saw a meme yesterday? What?
No, I saw a meme yesterday with somebody holding a slice of pizza to their ear that said, "If you hold a slice of Chicago pizza near your ear,
What?
you can hear the faint sound of gunshots." You know what?
Oh, yeah, we're going to play that again when we come back. Okay, yes, we're definitely going to play that one back. What was one of the other ones? Oh, Alien Jesus. Oh, yeah, we're definitely playing that one with Brad Staggs. And to satisfy Raquel, we'll give her one more.
Watson!
This is going to be fun. 10 seconds of counting. Here we go.
Triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for freedom. Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 50 Radio, and glad that you can join me as we get through in under another hour. Normally, you would have Dominic Izzo here as part of this program, but you know what? The crazy guy decided he was going to put me in his stead while he is away, and again, we appreciate any time and any opportunity that Dominic Izzo gives me a chance to come in and speak on his show. Those of you, again, he's normally here Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's one of the many amazing talents and hosts that you will hear on Mojo 50 Radio. And he's normally not as clumsy as I am. And one of the people that he brought in, this is a great host that I love, and you'll appreciate them as you prepare for the debates and you try to wrap your mind around everything that's going to be said. You may suffer PTSD as a result of everything that Joe Biden says. And maybe you might suffer PTSD as everything that Donald Trump says. Can I recommend to you one of our sponsors?
There are...
No, actually not that one. I go here. Does your mind seem like it often shuts down before it even starts? Sounds like you need to detox to improve your health in body, mind, and spirit. I'd like to tell you about New Life Holistic. It is an amazing therapy process that uses neurofeedback and biofeedback for many issues that ails everyone. New Life's method and approach to health, balance, energy, and vitality is what sets it apart from anything you have experienced ever before. Call 1-833-4-BIO-LIFE and tell them Watson from Battle for Freedom has sent you. One more thing. Give them the code MOJO50 and save $50 off of your first session. The consult is free. New Life Holistic. Yes. Do them today. Reach out and call Anthony Macchiotti. Sorry, Anthony. Just talk to Anthony and get your life straight and help Watson be able to get last names correct. I don't know why my brain's not operating correctly today, but I don't know if it's just pre-debate jitters or whatever it is. But let's continue to just keep this stuff a little bit on the funny side. So one of the other hosts that are on Mojo 50 Radio is Brad Staggs. He comes on at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday with Randolph the Gray. And some days I try and figure out exactly where he is. He's pro Area 51, pro aliens, and so much more. And I know he's pro black people. And he had this very interesting take on Jesus that I wanted to share with you, because normally on Thursdays we talk Bible, me, Dominic, Izzo, Anthony, and Elise, but check this out.
There are things that in the stories from the Bible that have always because after all, if you get right down to it, Jesus was an extraterrestrial, as is God. But no, it's true. They're not of this earth technically.
Not of this earth. And his sidekick, and actually one of the guys who keeps Mojo 50 running, and we're so happy for him because he's the one who lets us know when we screw things up. No, not so much so. He just helps us stay on task and try and remember to hit the unmute button when we have something to say. And so he wanted to throw his hands in on some humor, and I played this one during the break. Before the show, for those of you who are tuning in now, take a listen.
You saw a meme yesterday? What?
No, I saw a meme yesterday with somebody holding a slice of pizza to their ear that said, if you hold a slice of Chicago pizza near your ear,
what?
You can hear the faint sound of gunshot. You know what?
Yes, and that is the comic relief that you're going to get on Mojo 50 Radio. And you have to listen to all the shows that are on Mojo 50 Radio. You have to go to mojo50.com. Sign up. You will not get spam. Trust me. And there's a lot of comedic humor and just stuff that'll just get you through the day and just prep you for crazy things like debates or even your 9-to-5 job. Mojo50.com. Mojo50. And trust me, you can't go wrong with that. So let's get into the president and the VP.
Including 112,000 jobs right here in the Wolverine state.
amazing. In our first 3 years, unemployment reached a 50-year low across America. It's the lowest unemployment for 20 years in the state of Michigan. And wages were rising across the board. What means the most to the president is me. Wages were rising most rapidly for hardworking, blue-collar Americans. The forgotten men and women of America were forgotten no more. I don't know if you heard about it, but just this morning it was announced that weekly jobless claims just hit their lowest level since March. Michigan is back. America's coming back.
Yep.
Motor City is
coming back. Now, this is going to be hilarious as you sit here listening to Mike Pence, because he's
Now, it
hilarious.
really is great to be in Pontiac. I think this might be my first visit here. And in Waterford. We're not far from Pontiac, right? It's just, I was going to mention, great legacy and tradition. My first car was a Pontiac.
Excellent.
Thought that might do me some good. It was. We used to flip over the air filter in that thing. Did you do that when you were young? Yeah, it had a 454 4-barrel in it. Man, that thing.
So you gotta love it when your VP can talk cars and
a lot
muscle.
of noise when you flip that air filter. I'll tell you, let's just hear it for the great tradition of craftsmanship in Waterford and Pontiac.
Nice pickup, VP. Nice pickup on this. Nice pickup on this. I'm going to move through a couple of other different things because I still have some of what the president said earlier on his basically releasing the video, because we'll talk more about this later, but it's funny how the news, they kept saying the president storms out of his interview with 60 Minutes and everything like that. Well, when you watch the video, he doesn't storm out. He's just like, there's nothing more to say. I'm done. You don't want to listen anyway. I'm not storming out. I have a country to run. But let's listen more to Mike Pence. I'm going to zoom ahead of him.
Deserve to know, not only did Joe Biden never lift a finger to reform NAFTA, but when it came time to replace it with the USMCA, his running mate Kamala Harris was one of only 10 senators to vote against the USMCA. She said the USMCA didn't go far enough on climate change. Kamala Harris put her radical environmental agenda ahead of Michigan auto workers and Michigan auto jobs. It's one more reason why Michigan needs to say no to Joe and yes to 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House.
Go on, Mike. You gotta love it. 4 more years.
When it comes to energy, so important in a manufacturing state like Michigan and all across this country. Joe Biden and the radical left want to crush American energy under a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal.
It's ridiculous.
Remember in the last presidential debate, President Trump had to remind him that he supported the Green New Deal. Might have to remind him again tonight.
Boom! Holy cow. He went there. Okay, those of you, one of the things that I try and avoid doing, I am really restraining myself from posting stuff about Joe Biden's unfortunate lack of focus. I don't want to mock his dementia. I don't want to wish that upon myself. I would not want to wish that on anybody. As you sit here and you watch this thing that's taking place, it's rather unfortunate, the mental state that Joe Biden is. But it's time to actually be more vocal on pointing that out. It is, Jill Biden, you have failed your husband. You have failed your husband, and it is not Dominic, Brad Staggs, and then they played earlier today where the husband of Kamala Harris gets out there and says, I'm proud to be husband of the next president of the United States of America. We know that the purpose, the Nancy Pelosi is getting everything ready to basically replace Joe Biden as president of the United States of America. But I want you to understand the language. I want you to understand the spirit behind what's happening here. Is that they're basically saying, I'm willing to use you to get the result that I want. And once I'm done,
by. Do you realize that this is what's happened to the black community? Hello, black community. The Democrat Party has used you as best as they possibly can. You have this great awakening happening in the black community. Black men are standing up, and you have Ice Cube, you have Ice Cube, you have 50 Cent, you have countless conservative blacks, you have countless blacks who are Democrats who are basically saying we need more of this president. We need more of his administration. When the president turns around and decides, I'm going to earmark another $500 billion to help black communities grow and actually be successful in this turbulent time, when the Democrat Party has been making that promise to you for the last 50, 70 years, and they never followed through. They just led you with a carrot, and they didn't even let you get a whiff of the carrot because it was always out of reach. And you kept trudging along like a little turtle and wondering why your success never got there. Because one, they had you going through over rough terrain that you could barely move on, and they kept changing and moving the line further and further away. Kind of like how Barack Obama kept moving his red line, the Democrat Party kept moving the finish line for black Americans, for minorities, and countless other individuals. They wanted your vote. They got your vote. They got your dependence on them, and they're going to continue to take advantage of you. And now we have a president who has done historically more for the black people than any other president apart from Abraham Lincoln. And there's no way to deny it. The news, they're suppressing it. I'm now censored. I'm on a 60-day ban that I can't post to groups, that I can't even post things on some of my pages because of the fact that I have been neutered by the fact checkers and the quote unquote fair fact checkers and administration policy board with Facebook. Whatever. I'm still talking. You're not going to shut me down. I'll keep going, and understand this: the truth will not be suppressed. The truth will not be suppressed. Let's get back to President VP.
I mean, their $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal would raise the cost of electricity for every home and business in Michigan. It's true. I mean, they're talking about requiring 4 million businesses to be essentially retrofit, 2 million homes to be retrofit to live up to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and AOC's Green New Deal.
And it's crazy.
President Trump, he's been a champion of American energy and American energy independence. We ended the war on coal, and today America is a net exporter of energy for the first time in 70 years.
Boom. So yeah, go.
Would lose 5 million jobs. As I stand here today, I'm proud to report to you that our president has already appointed more than 230 conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And they are all men and women who will uphold the God-given liberties in our Constitution, like the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Last month, we rightly paused as a nation to honor the life and service of the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Here he goes again.
But when the memorials were over, President Trump fulfilled his duty under the Constitution of the United States when he nominated a brilliant, principled, conservative woman who loves the Constitution to the Supreme Court. He nominated Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
ACB.
You got to watch this speech on YouTube. Fox is sharing it out.
I'll tell you, I'm a little partial. I mean, she is from Indiana.
And same here. I'm partial too because I'm from Indiana.
And you know, President Trump and I, we call on Democrats in Washington to give Judge Barrett a respectful confirmation. And we're going to keep calling on it. But we have reason to be concerned. I mean, you all remember during her last confirmation hearing, don't you?
Yep, come on, bro.
The ranking member on the Judiciary Committee, Democrat from California, actually said she was concerned about Judge Barrett's nomination because of her Catholic faith. She said, and I quote, "The dogma lives loudly within you." And Hollywood elites have been criticizing Judge Barrett ever since. Well, I got news for the Democrats and their friends in Hollywood. That dogma lives loudly in me.
Boom.
That dogma lives loudly in you. And the right to live and work and worship according to the dictates of our faith lives loudly in the Constitution of the United States of America. Now the Senate is going to continue to discharge their duty to advise and consent. I'm proud to report, even though the Democrats didn't show up, the Senate Judiciary Committee voted Judge Amy Coney Barrett out of the committee. She's headed to the floor for a vote on Monday.
Boom. I kind of wish it was today. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of wish it was be done today. Stop delaying this thing and just confirm her already.
Judge Amy Coney Barrett is going to be Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Fill that seat on the Supreme Court. Now,
Yes, Renee, I feel like I'm in church
the people of Michigan
too.
deserve to know, after 150 years with 9 justices on the Supreme Court,
I love this part. Here it is.
leading Democrats
Yes,
in
I
Washington
feel like I'm in
are
church.
talking
I
about packing the court,
want to throw a handkerchief at Mike
adding
Pence.
seats to the Supreme Court so they can nominate radical leftist judges to advance their agenda from the judicial branch. Now, Joe Biden did say that he's going to tell the American people what he'd do about court packing after Judge Barrett was confirmed. Now he's saying he's going to tell us after the election. I mean, I saw a clip this morning on the way here. He told 60 Minutes it's a live ball. He's going to tell us after the election, after millions of Americans have cast their votes, whether he's going to pack the court in what would be the biggest power grab
Here
in
it is.
American
You ready?
history.
You ready? You ready?
I mean, come on, man. The American people deserve a straight answer, Joe.
Oh my goodness, Mike Pence
For
did
the
it.
highest office in the land, the American people deserve to know whether you're going to respect the highest court in the land.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I'm done. Mike Pence, oh my goodness, that Negro, he did me in. He went there. He said, "Come on, man." He used Joe's line. Folks, I'm not going to lie to you. All the president's men. All the president's men. So as you sit here and you prepare for this, understand this is going to be insane. It's going to be amazing as we start listening to what's happening with the president, and this debate's going to be something else. Recorded, every last one of you recorded, because you know the news is gonna shred this apart, and of course they're gonna do their best to try and make it seem like it was a fair thing. I'm praying that it will be fair. I struggle to believe that it will be, only because of the fact that they've already proven themselves to be less than reputable in the means and the ways in which they carry themselves. So this is going to be very interesting. So let's get into some of this stuff before we go to break. We still have a few minutes before we go to break. Let's start some of this because I love this, and I'm so appreciative of what the president does here.
Are you ready for some tough questions?
You're going to be fair.
I'm going to be fair.
Just be fair.
But last time I remember you saying to me, bring it on, bring it on.
No, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for fairness. That's all.
You're going to get fairness. But you're okay with some tough questions.
No, I'm not.
You're not okay with tough
Well, I'm
questions?
going to be fair. You don't ask Biden tough questions.
Me?
Huh?
I don't even
It's terrible.
I
It's
only
terrible.
interview you.
You know that. Okay, are you ready?
Everybody ready?
We're out.
Okay. Can I start?
Let's go 1 second.
Plus the door area up the lift, just a little drop.
Okay, so we're getting through this stuff and getting ready, but I don't know if you heard this.
Okay, I'm ready.
I don't know if you heard it in the beginning. She started off saying, I'm going to give you ready for some tough questions. Now, I think that this is very sad because it already signifies it's going to be a hostile interview. She is going to be hostile with the witness because the president's constantly on trial by the media, by the left, and it's going to be something else. It's going to be very unfortunate that we are watching the barbarism of them in the media. That's basically talked about keeping the president in his place. At one particular point, it was revered, the office of the presidency was revered under Barack Obama. And I heard many of blacks and many of whites who were pro-Obama supporters say, you don't have to like the president, but you have to respect the office. Where is that standard? Where's that standard? It's gone. It's out the door. I'm watching it. I'm watching Christians who are black, mature Christians, who say that they're Christians, blacks who are Christians, who have no problem maligning the president of the United States of America. The very same people who said that it was responsible, that who was it, Joe Wilson was rude, he dishonored the president by saying you lie when Barack Obama said that that the ACA, that Obamacare was not going to be met and provided for legals. What are they arguing for right now? To make sure that Obamacare is made available for illegals. The very thing that Joe Wilson called him out on. He called him out on it. Oh, you disrespected the office of the presidency. On a day-to-day basis, we have candidates, we have politicians, we have actors, we have so many different people who can't respect the office of the presidency of the United States of America. We have Maxine Waters encouraging people to disrupt the lives of the members of his cabinet. You have the nerve talking about violence being incited by the president of the United States of America. You still sophisticated Christians have nothing to say about that. Go on your panels. Speak of the plight of black people as you remain silent of the violence of black people in your community, as well as the violence that's perpetrated by your political party. Let me move on.
So we have the pandemic. On your watch, we've had racial strife, we've had looting. Why do you want this job? Why do you want to be president again?
Because we've done a great job and it's not finished yet. And when I finish, this country will be in a position like it hasn't been maybe ever. The economy is already roaring back, and other people aren't going to bring it back. Certainly the person that we're dealing with is not going to bring it back. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to take away your Second Amendment. They're going to do things that nobody would even believe. It's radical. There's never been anything like it. No, we are positioned like never before. We're going to have a fantastic year next year.
Let me ask you what you think your the biggest domestic priority is for you right now.
Well, ultimately, let me, and I'll tell you, it was happening. We created the greatest economy in the history of our country, and the other side was coming in.
You know that's not true.
It is totally true.
No.
So here's the thing about it that really gets me mad. You have the president of the United States of America. You basically say to him, you have racial strife, you have a pandemic on your watch. Never did any of the reporters speak like that to former President Barack Obama. Never did any of the reporters speak like that to former President Barack Obama. That right there. And even now she's acting like, what was her name from NBC last week, that she's arguing with him. The greatest economy. You can't argue with the facts. We had the highest Dow Jones that ever in the history of this nation. It has never broke 29,000 before. It was on pace to break 30, possibly even 32,000 by now before the elections. Before the elections. You had the record lowest unemployment for black people. If there are black people who aren't working in this country before COVID came, it's because they don't want to work. It's because they want to sit there and they want to milk the system and get as much as they can out of their baby mamas and not put in any effort towards contributing to the success of this country. So many of them want to be welfare bound or system bound, but they don't want to be providing and basically showing character bound and making a change in this country. But she tried to shut the president down, but
but he ain't gonna be shut up just like the rest of us. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle4Freedom. Let's go to a break and I'll talk to you about all the president's men on the flip side.
This election will be vital to the health and sustainability of our country. Our role from this day on could steer the election in either direction. Why? The way we treat one another. In John 13:35, Jesus says, "By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." We know that every election cycle brings out the worst in us. If there was ever a point for honesty, it is in how we act during election season. As much as we would want our candidate to win, attacking a person with contrary opinions only makes them determined to reject our point of view all the more. It may come off as ignorant from them, but we cannot claim innocence if we allow arrogance and disrespect to be the means in which we communicate with those who support the other party or other candidates. Our goal was and will never be to convert voters. Our role is to give them the information needed prior to them casting their vote. It is their choice and right of what they do with that information. Understand, more people are aware of the political corruption and hypocrisy than they wish or want to admit. So there's nothing for us to prove. Choose to be people who invoke change rather than people who irritate and strain. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." In other words, give people the room to make their own mistakes. Without seeing that they were wrong, they would be blind to see what is right. Remember, every soldier present and gone have fought for the right of every American citizen to vote their own conscience. To insult and ridicule people for exercising their liberty to vote for their candidate is to also desecrate the efforts, memories, and sacrifices made by our heroes for said liberty. Please, show respect. Our nation depends on it.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Watson Prunier from Battle4Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio, sitting in for Dominic Izzo, who's normally here Monday through Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Again, and maybe you probably heard over the break, I was just trying to move the thing forward because there's so much more that the president said, and I'm losing so much time as we prepare for this debate that's happening in a few minutes here. Renee said it best. The hatred is so deep that the poison comes off of their tongues, showing in their words and attitude. Most correct. The hatred, the poison is so disgusting. It's so alarming that there's no fear in hiding their visceral hatred for the president of the United States of America, and it's troubling. I'm not going to lie to you; it's troubling at times.
We have done, that's right, because we're doing so much testing.
Cases, will you at least say cases are up?
Yes, cases are up because...
So right now at this particular point in the interview that he puts out there, she's complaining about cases on the rise, cases on the rise. Well, you know what? Cases are going to be on the rise if you test more people, right? I mean, I believe if in 20, you know what? If we in 2016 had the pandemic, this pandemic that we're dealing with right now, COVID-19, I believe that if we tested for that in 2016, every person tested would be testing positive for COVID-19 in 2016. I believe that with a fact that they would have been tested and they would have come up positive for COVID-19. Okay? So this whole idea of, well, because if you have more tests and COVID-19 is something that has been present in our water streams, in our food, and in our environment, that people have been surrounded by this for so long that has now worked its way in, kind of like how you have like those dangerous chemicals that are in water. Like what was that? Not Julie Lebrowski, but Julia Roberts played Elaine Brockovich or something. I can't remember what it was, but she was sitting there defending a community that was basically sitting next to a chemical plant, and they had chemicals in the water, and it was severely affecting the people who were dying by this. Put it in the timeline, someone here, and help me out because I can't recall what it is. But this Elaine Brockovich or whatever. So you sit here and you watch this thing. I believe that COVID-19 would have appeared there, but they're hampering on all these people on the rise, and our numbers are rising. It's because we're testing more. Of course, more people are going to test positive for it, because we didn't test for COVID-19 last year. We didn't test for it the year before. It's something that's been present in our systems for so long, but everybody's now making it fearful as this is some pandemic that's going on. COVID-19 has been around for so long. It may have been a mild case of it. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I think the normal flu is basically now being renamed COVID-19 to make it seem like we actually have a pandemic going on right here. That is what's taking place. We have to keep people angry. We have to keep people fearful. And so we're going to do everything that we can to do this. And it's very unfortunate. It's very sad, because I believe there's something else. There's another chemical that's in there that's not COVID-19 that are killing American citizens. And there are a lot of people. Erin Brockovich, thank you very much, Renee. I believe that there's something else that's in the system. I believe there's something else that's in the water. I believe there's something that's in the air. I believe there's something that's in the in the radio waves via 5G and so much more. That's triggering more health hazards, more health concerns for American citizens and people around the world than they really want to admit. There's a control. This is a controlled practice. This is a controlled extermination of American citizens so that the narcissists can stick around and believe that they can inherit the rest of the earth. They're not the meek inheriting the earth. They are the wicked inheriting the earth. And the only inheritance that they will have is a permanent seat, a permanent front row in the sea of fire, in the lake of fire, in Hades, in hell, because of what they have done to affect so many American citizens, because of their pride, because of their haughtiness. Trust me, they will be exposed for the liars and the malcontents that they are.
We are doing tremendous testing, and we're finding where there's a problem. Testing is a good thing, but it's also very misleading.
When you're out there saying we've turned the corner, this thing is disappearing.
That's
and
right, we have turned the corner.
People can see cases going up all over in the Midwest, in the Mountain West. Record numbers of cases.
We have turned
in
the
some
corner.
states.
We understand the disease. We understand the elderly, and we're taking care of them at a level like nobody's ever taken care of the elderly, especially the elderly with diabetes problems, heart problems. We are taking care of them like nobody's ever taken care of them. We also understand youth, 99.9%. As an example, Barron had it, and it was gone in no time. It was just like he had it, it was gone. Hardly knew he even had it. So we are taking care of our people, but we've done a great job with the ventilators, with the equipment, with stocking governors that were not stocked. We've made a lot of governors look very good that shouldn't look good, and that's okay with me.
Okay, let me ask you something about suburban women.
Yeah.
You said the other day to suburban women, will you please like me, please?
Oh, I didn't say that. That's so misleading the way I say jokingly, suburban women, you should love me because I'm giving you security and I got rid of the worst regulation. See, the way you said that is why people think of you and everyone else as fake news. I said kiddingly, suburban women, you should love me. I got rid of a regulation that would bring low-income housing into suburbia that would destroy suburbia. And I said that in a joking way. The way you have it, it's like, oh, like I'm begging. I'm kidding. Play it, and I'm kidding. That is such a misleading question, Leslie.
Yes, and it's really sad because here it is. Again, there's a concern. And here's the thing about it that people, because understand this. There are a lot of highfalutin black people who wouldn't want low-income housing in their neighborhoods. They've moved away from it. They've moved to more affluent areas because they don't want to be around it. They don't want gangbangers shooting all hours of the night. They don't want the drugs near their homes. They don't want their property values going down because of the fact that the hood is basically taking over their neighborhood. But these same highfalutin black folk will sit there and be mad when the president doesn't want to bring in Section 8 housing, low-income housing into his community, into his business, because he has a business to run. He has success to make. And I find it very hypocritical that certain people will have a standard that they would want for their businesses to succeed, but they have the nerve, they have the gumption to tell other people how their businesses should run. And even now that you have these changes, you have all this diversity and inclusion stuff that's basically changing the dynamics of businesses that have been successful for so long. Not forcing, not trying to make this rainbow or this collage of color in leadership, but that because of the fact that you've had trained leadership who knows exactly what they're doing and how to lead a company into success. And praise God for the people of color, minorities, women, and whoever else that has the skills to step up into those roles, get that position, get that role because you're qualified to do it and you've shown the position to move there. I would never want to be put in a position. And that's one of the things I guess I really appreciate about my boss. My boss understands my limitations, but my boss is also reaching out to see how can I improve myself. He gives me tasks here, trials here, to try and see how I can improve myself. And as much as I would love to strive to another and a higher position right now, there's so much more that I have to learn. There's so much more that I have to do right now to even show and give my boss confidence that he can actually go to his higher ups and basically say, give this kid a chance. Give this guy a chance. There's so much more that I need to do. I'm so much in a break-fix mode, and I'm always in just putting out fires. And there's more leadership stuff that I want to pick up, adopt, and actually make happen in my life so that I can be ready for those higher positions. But I don't want my boss to try and push me, or I don't even want higher up leadership in my business to put me in that position because, oh, here's an affluent black, here's a good speaking, well-speaking black man, and we should just throw him there. No, don't do that. If there's a qualified white guy, a qualified person who could be a Buddhist, a Hindu, or even an atheist, who would be better at the job than me, put the atheist there. Don't put me there because of the color of my skin. That's doing a disservice to the country, to the company. That's doing a disservice to the hardworking people in the company. No, don't turn it into a hood just to make everybody feel good. I didn't even intend to actually rhyme with that. It just happened. But listen, I believe that blacks can grow up and they can have better communities. And you know what? If they want to make the investment, if there are richer blacks who want to give other blacks an opportunity to do better for themselves, go out and buy a bunch of land and start building, not low-income housing, but nice housing where blacks have actually saved up the money to afford those homes, not because the homes were given to them. Most often when things are given to you, we normally don't do as well as we should. I know I've always been a good steward of the things that have been given to me that I haven't worked for. So I know that there's a part of me that I have to do better in how I carry myself in showing gratitude for the blessings that have been handed down to me and actually show appreciation for the blessings that have been brought into my life and be a good steward of those resources and of those benefits that have been extended to me by the grace of God. But don't put me in a position because of the color of my skin. Please don't do that. That's a disservice to me. That's an insult to me. That's an insult to me. If I'm supposed to be in politics or whatever it is, I want to actually earn my way, not be given a platter and not know which silverware to pick up or where to put the napkin or how to eat my food or when to drink. You're only doing a disservice, putting an unqualified person in a position that they weren't supposed to be in. So we have to think about this, and we have to think about this better. Let's get back to the President of the United States.
But you're behind the suburban women in the polls.
I doubt it. I really doubt it.
One of the
I'm saving suburbia. He's going to destroy suburbia. He's got a regulation, which I terminated, that he would put back, and even worse, that will bring low-income housing projects into suburbia. And women understand that, and they've really learned about it over the last 2-3 weeks. I terminated the worst regulation you could possibly have. It's gone. And suburban women appreciate it. They want security, they want safety. Look, I've been endorsed by almost every police department, almost every law enforcement group in the country. He's been endorsed by almost nobody. Suburban women want security.
Boom. Suburban women want security. Period. And see, now all of you guys are like, oh, he's so pro-cop, and, you know, cops, black people, cops, they hate, they're hunting black people. Y'all black people in your community, you want the police to show up when those Negroes around the corner are acting up, right? You want the police to show up when they can shut down the people making all that noise, right? Hey, how many of you people who want black people in your neighborhood, you ready to move to New York City? Live in New York City where you got people revving their engines on their cars and their motorcycles all ends of the night? And the uncomfortableness of hardworking American citizens in New York. They can't, hardworking American citizens in New York who can't sleep, who can't go to sleep because of the fact that the thuggery, because of the fact that you have escaped from New York, because you have Mad Max going on right around the corner from them, and the Democrat leadership is doing nothing to silence them. One of my buddies from Virginia told me that there's this new legislation out there now that people in Virginia, if you have any kind of is it Virginia or West Virginia? I can't remember which one it is, but if you turn around and you have a traffic incident, or you are breaking the law via a car, and you have busted lights or something's wrong with your car, police aren't going to pull you over anymore. Why? Because that's how most black people die, when they get pulled over by the police. So there could be someone who broke the tail light in your trunk of your car who's a kidnap victim, but the police are going to ignore it now because of the fact that they don't want to go on the image of actually targeting black people. So the drug dealers and everybody else is now being given a free pass to carry on and doing whatever illegal thing that they want to in their vehicles now, because the optics of black people being pulled over cannot be entertained. It is an upside down world where the losers, the evil ones, the wicked ones are winning. And we have a Democrat party, that's actually enabling and empowering the rioters, the looters, the drug dealers, the pimps, the people who are threatening our safety and security. So I'm glad when the president's going to be pro-police. I'm glad when the president's going to be pro-blue line. And I am appreciative of the men and women behind the shield, behind the blue line, who decided to go out there despite all the disparaging comments that it became a war against police officers under the presidency of former President Barack Obama. Understand that it is the truth. He started a war with cops, and they're carrying on it, and now we're even neutering cops so they can't even do their jobs. They can't protect their communities. They can't protect anyone because of the fact that you have Democrat legislation that's enabling and empowering the wicked to rule. And if they're willing to allow criminals to run roughshod or however it goes all over the street, what do you think they're going to do in office? What do you think, if they can't respect the rule of law at the local level where people need to be protected, you think they're going to respect the rule of law in government? Wow. I got to go back to this because I'm starting to get hot. On here. Let's move this up a little bit and just go find some other things. Let's see where we are here.
To be announced very soon when we see what happens with Obamacare, which is not good. And will happen. And we won't do anything it is terminated as we know it. Now we have the carcass of Obamacare. We've managed it well. Leslie, we've managed it well. You know, I had a choice to make. When we got rid of the individual mandate, nobody believed we could do that, and I did it. Right? I had a choice to make. Do I manage the remainder of whatever's left of this whole thing called Obamacare, which is no good? Do I manage it well or manage it badly? If I manage it well, politically maybe that's not good. I decided to manage it well.
Do you want to leave it?
No, I don't want to leave it. I want to see what happens. Here's what happens. We may be stuck with it if we lose in the Supreme Court, in which case we're wasting a lot of words. If we win, we will come up with and we will do that, come up with a much better health care for much less money, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions.
And see, here's the thing about it. They've told you pre-existing conditions. It's their pre-existing conditions. And one of the things that the president gets into is he talks about the whole idea that the Democrats are willing to affect 180 million people 180 million people in America who are hardworking American citizens who actually get insurance through their jobs, who get private insurance through their jobs. The Democrats are trying to shut that down because they're saying that the government who's failed in our education, who has failed in energy, who has failed in a war against drugs, failed in so many different areas, somehow, some way is going to do better. They failed our vets in the VA hospitals, but somehow, some way they're going to do better via Obamacare, which has raised the premiums for countless Americans. Now, there are people who don't work who get Obamacare and they're not paying anything at all because the rest of us are covering the bill for what they get. And they're living high on the hog, or living like hogs, and not even wanting to be accountable, not even wanting to have a level of respect for themselves to say, you didn't earn that. You didn't work for that. But you proudly sit here thrusting your chest out like you're somebody when you sat there and you robbed from other American citizens. Yes. You robbed. You were given a blessing and you stick your chest out like you've accomplished something when you've sanctioned the thievery against other American citizens. Remember, again, I wish that Amy Coney Barrett was just confirmed today. Go to my broadcast last Friday when I talked about the SCOTUS severability and the fear that they have of Amy Coney Barrett, not just only Amy Coney Barrett, but the likes of Amy Coney Barrett and someone more like her standing up and being in the Constitution, being in the Supreme Court, that brings us back to an originalist mentality. Now, everybody's going to say, they're trying to bring us back to slavery. Shut up. You're so stupid. You can't even think correctly on this. What they're trying to do in bringing us back to the original meaning and the original context of the Constitution is to basically remove a lot of this legislation, a lot of the regulations that the president's sitting here talking about that has been penalizing American citizens for their success. Income tax needs to be gone. Many of the different taxes that have been put in, Social Security needs to be removed. Every other American citizen who right now, if you want to opt out of Social Security and you're comfortable of basically saying, I don't need this, I'll take my Social Security, whatever I put into it when I leave. But every other person should be done and say, no, I don't want any more to do with Social Security. I'm done. Stop taking my money and let me invest my money that you're taking for Social Security out and put it in whatever I want to. I shouldn't have to fund this thing. Why? No. It's my finances, but because of the fact that the government couldn't stop spending, they don't have money in Social Security, so they have to figure out a way to tax us more. And did you catch the reality of Joe Biden's tax plan? That if you're in California or if you're in New Jersey or if you're in New York, you could be paying upwards of 58 to 62% in personal income tax if you make more than $400,000 a year. Why do you think now 50 Cent says, I don't want to be 20 Cent? 50 Cent doesn't want to be 20 Cent because of the fact that he realizes that these taxes are ridiculous, and I'm sitting here supporting a whole bunch of people who like milking and bilking the system. We don't want to talk about that. We don't have that conversation. President's trying to help us, and when you get to the end of this thing, he even talks about, you think she's going to turn around and question Joe Biden like this? She's not going to question Joe Biden like this. She keeps interrupting him. She keeps arguing with him because of the fact that she's got it. And I would love to see what it is that they put out on, CBS or whatever it is, 60 Minutes, to basically see and how they try and spin this thing of how the president just got up. He had a tantrum and tantrum. Let's see, we've got 52 minutes. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this.
Growing nation in the world after this pandemic, by far. And we sunk less than any other nation, relatively speaking. And we're coming back very strong, very, very strong.
So you don't want to lock up Governor Whitmer, but you want to lock up.
When did I say lock her up? I never said.
The Bidens, you want to lock up.
Wait a minute, when did I say lock her up? When did I say lock up the governor? I didn't say lock up the governor.
All right, but you.
Why would I lock her up? No, but why did you say you don't want to lock up the governor?
See now, and you see this? Because all you have to do is say throw it out there, and a lot of Americans are like, oh yeah, the president said lock her up. You hear her? She says, all right. She acknowledges that she lied. She acknowledges that she made a wrong statement. And instead of just saying, you know what, I was wrong, please forgive me for what I said, all right, let's move on. No, we don't move on. You just lied, and you're going to take this lie to countless American citizens who are going to believe that the president said something he never did. Kind of like the whole idea of the president said that all Mexicans are bad. Kind of like the idea that the president is saying this about this person and that person, and he has no care for black people. Like Omarosa, who basically says that the president said the N-word in the White House. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be verified. You just have to make the accusation because there's just enough people who lack the intelligence to recognize that they're being manipulated. I will continue to say that because if you have the nerve to talk about the intelligence and the common sense of this president of the United States of America, then I'm basically returning to you the ignorant statement that you made. Because if you're saying that the president's ignorant, you're ignorant yourself. You don't want to listen to the truth. You don't want to pay attention and verify whether or not the data has actually been factually verified. It's very interesting because you don't want to worry about the information being said about the president being verified, but this whole idea, now you actually believe the lie that the hard drive, the computer that has been found at this computer store with Joe Biden, with Hunter Biden's signature on it, you now want to believe that it's a Russian asset. It's a ploy by Russians and everything like that. There's no need for investigation in that. Or anything like that. Oh no, we need to investigate and verify whether we should even entertain that. It's very interesting how many of you right now, you're so eager for the president. Well, we got to push forward for his impeachment. We got to get rid of him for all the different things that he's doing right now. We have documented information. He even talked to her about Obamagate, about them investigating the president. It was spying on his campaign. Oh, that's not verified. That's what she said. Oh, that's not verified. But the whole idea of racial tensions and racial animosity and a failure of the president of the United States of America, what we have to do is keep saying that. It doesn't have to be verified. We don't have to actually have any physical proof for this. We just have to keep saying it. And what the president said throughout this interview, which I thought was really beautiful and it was so accurate, you guys have lost your credibility and no one believes you anymore.
Of course I don't want to lock her up. Why would I lock her up?
Because you were in front of a rally of people saying it, encouraging it.
I never said it, Leslie. I never said lock up the governor.
So you don't want to lock up the governor?
Leslie, it's such a vicious thing you just said. I never said lock up the governor of Michigan. I would never say that. Why would I say that?
Well, what about the Bidens?
She's doing lockdowns.
Do you want to lock up the Bidens?
No, I don't want to lock them up, but they certainly should be looked at.
Obama? You want to lock up Obama?
No, I don't want
See,
to.
and think about this. She makes a statement, but the president has to be the one that's on the defensive to defend his position, but she doesn't have to be responsible in defending hers. See, one of the different things that Dominic's talked about that's really just ticked me off is that political officials don't have to be accountable for the lies and the misrepresentations that they say. I believe they're protected from any kind of liable suits that could be held against them because of the fact that they're in office and they can't be sued. Something along those lines, I think it's extremely troubling that people can make rally accusations. And remember, it's the devil who rallies accusations. It's the devil who rallies accusations against people. And many of you are following a devilish party. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Republican Party doesn't have their own issues. Oh, trust me, they have issues to concern with. But I've never seen a level of malevolence. And like Renee said, they're twisting every word that comes out of his mouth. That is exactly what they're doing. That's what the devil does. Bible readers. The enemy who roams about seeking whom he may devour. You don't believe what the Democrats have been doing for the last 6 months, for the last 3.5 years, is seeking whom they may devour? They've been wanting to devour Donald Trump for the last 3.5 years. Doing exactly what the devil does. But you have no desire. You have no desire in doing this right. Why? Why? It's troubling. It truly is. And I'm praying. I'm really praying that you will change your disposition because it's not going to be good for you.
we are less than 5 minutes away from the beginning of this. We're less than 5 minutes away from this. If Rocky's still listening to
Watson!
There you go. I just need to, and I'm going to end this off on these corny jokes because of the fact that I got a little bit too worked up. Let's listen to Ron's joke one more time.
You saw a meme yesterday? What?
No, I saw a meme yesterday with somebody holding a slice of pizza to their ear that said, "If you hold a slice of Chicago pizza near your ear,
what?
you can hear the faint sound of gunshots."
We're ending up on a good note, folks. Listen, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. But right now, I want you to prepare for the debate. I'm your host, Watson Prunay from Battle4Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio. Love you people. Take care and look for Dominic Izzo. He'll be back. He'll be back. Defenders Live is up next. One last thing I want to say to you guys before I leave. I completely forgot about this. Defenders Live is up next. Dylan and Steven, check them out. I'm sure it will be a bang. But